Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, very, very good question.
Yeah, this is a very good question.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question.
Oh, that's a great question.
Ooh, that's a great question.
Yeah, that's a great question, Zanger.
It's a great question.
It's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. Really good question.
Gosh, this question to me, I hate this question.
That's a loaded question. But okay.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for your support of Indie Agency News. And let's meet an indie agency. We head up to somewhat my part of the world, Seattle. Rune.
Hey, Doug.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Let's get the title in here. Founder, Agency Noir.
It's good seeing the name in the bottom.
You know what? Yeah, we're professional-ish.
Lower thirds always look nice.
The lower third always looks good. Well, first of all, thank you for your support of Indie Agency News. Secondly, and I have to say this logo for Indie Agency News, that came from you. That came from your team. And I remember this vividly. And you said, hey, I don't like your logo. I said, you know what? I said, no shit, neither do I. And he said, can I fix it? I said, yes. And you came up with something beautiful and something that will endure, something that actually tells a real story. I can actually explain it to people, and it's professional, yet it's accessible. Like all the things you ask for in an identity, you did. So thank you. You basically set the table for the next generation of what this is going to be, and I am incredibly grateful for that.
Oh, Doug, thank you. I'll say that as a client, the brief was very straightforward as well and direct. And so our team had a lot of fun working with it, and the different reviews that we went through with you. It's always as good as the client on the other end. So thank you for giving us that opportunity.
No, it's great. It's great. So let's start with this. Your early days in the agency. Now let's talk about when the agency was founded and the pathway to getting the agency off the ground.
Yeah, geez. The official start time here, I think, was February of last year, 2023. So I think we're at about 17 months. And bigger news for us, I'm actually sitting in an office space in the Fremont neighborhood of Seattle. So we've moved out from our home locations, and now here we are. Stepping into what is a relatively big step for us. And from a background standpoint, I've been in the agency space for a real long time. I've worked indie, I've worked super large conglomerates that have acquired indies. I've been part of some very, very large teams, very successful teams. So the origins of Noir maybe officially started 16, 17 months ago, but the idea for it was there for a really, really long time. And it really stemmed from seeing just how all of these agencies were getting sucked up into this kind of larger machine. And the larger machine was trying to find ways to really commoditize it and turn it into some consulting firm. And the roots of what it is that we do and what we believe in is the craft of creative and creative work. And as we saw a lot of things getting turned into production engines and turning into things that really didn't express anything, let alone think about the audience and think about, as you had mentioned with the Indie Agency News logo, accessibility. I didn't think about the story, the narrative, the things that we really, really, really cared about. And so we've, been hoping to create something like this for quite some time. And so here we are a year and a half later.
Yeah, I love it. What would you say the top three core strengths are as you're building this out? Where do you see that settling out? And again, it's early days, but where do you see it shaping?
Yeah, the nice superpower kind of rainbow that we're looking at is, brand work, campaign work, video work. And as you kind of subcategorize all of the things that fall under that, We do digital really well, and of course, like we do a lot of digital ads and digital advertising and out-of-home things. But the part that we really love and the thing that gets us really excited is that brand work, that campaign work, thinking about the audience and reaching that audience. And then, my roots and our team's roots have always been in video, and so that's kind of the thing that gets us really excited, gets us out of bed.
No, I completely get that. Let's talk about independence, because again, you and I did a couple of cups of coffee in corporate land, and I'm curious about why it's important to be independent. Now, let's be honest, like sometimes being on the corporate side of it can be very useful. So I'm curious about some of the things that you took from the corporate side that you believe were very useful for independence, and why it's important to have that independence.
Yeah, the parts that I think are completely useful and the benefits, I think, of components of my background, working with the enterprise side, I've been able to scale teams from 0 to 30, 40 globally, and really seeing how that gets done, seeing how to produce a team, start from scratch, scale a team. The whole motto of from sketch to scale was that like larger corporate entity component. And as we created those large teams and get to scale, we disconnect a little bit, right? Like we disconnect from our clients needs. We think a little bit less about the audience needs, and then we think a little bit less about the humans that are working on the other side of it. Being on the indie side, and being a part of indie teams, as long as we have, the human component of what it is that we do is especially one of the special sauce, right? That you get from the people that work with you. And we're always saying that like agencies are just a collection of the people that work there.
Right.
And the indie component of that, being able to express that talent and skill set in a way that like one benefits the end audience that our clients are going after, two benefits our clients, and three really benefits our agency in terms of where we sit and where we think we can sit in the long term.
Yep. Let's go. I love this question, and it's especially interesting because you are early into this. What's the main reason a brand should work with you? Now, listen, I had very specific experience with you that's been overwhelmingly positive, but I'm curious, what's the main reason a brand should work with you?
It's an excellent question, Doug. We've gone back and forth. I've even written notes on this, and my background specifically has been in the client services, account management space, the business development space, the growth space. So we're always kind of thinking about these these small components of what make us slightly different. On one end, right, like the way that we established ourselves as an agency is that we're an extension of our clients' teams. We've sitting down and we take a very consultative approach in terms of what the needs are for our client in terms of delivery. Some of our clients have had to cut deep with things like their budget and their team. And so sometimes, the skill set when it comes to marketing and sales is deficient. And so we've been able to take this like support of like, okay, like I've got a lot of experience. My team's got a lot of experience working as marketers and supporting as marketing. And so we plug right in, and we have been able to plug right in and support in that kind of deficient standpoint. The other thing that we do well, right? Like we've been able to build a very flex model now. Like our flex model is kind of based in this weird, like, hey, we've been agency for so long. We've got a lot of really talented people in our network. And some of those very, very talented people were part of these deep cuts that we've seen over the last few years, right, whether on the client side and on the agency side. And so some of our clients, big or small, have very specific needs that I'm really able to spin up fairly quickly. And the people that I'm spinning up with are some of the most talented people I've ever worked with in my career. And working on branding projects with some of the biggest brands in the world, like Amazon, with Microsoft and Nike, with Target, with Gap. And I have an opportunity to take that and plug it in directly to the needs of a small to medium-sized business, a nonprofit, or even some of the enterprise clients that we've been able to touch over our short period of time.
Yeah, and here's what's interesting. So being in Seattle and both of us being in the Northwest, I think there is I don't want to say a misperception. I think there's a curiosity about talent here. I think there are a lot of misperceptions about our market in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as we start drilling down to talent, and teams, there's, and I'm not saying that other markets aren't good. They're great. Other markets are fantastic. But what's interesting to me is that there is this perception that we are so quirky and so weird and it's anything. And there is a modicum of truth to that, a tiny bit of truth. Yet that quirkiness or that different approach to things, I think, can shake things loose and loosen things up a little bit in interesting ways that are very beneficial for clients and for brands. Talk a little bit about the talent in the Northwest and specifically Seattle, why you value it so much, and then also conversely, why talent should be putting your agency on their list, whether it is full-time or as a freelancer or a contractor.
Oh, Doug, why would you want to work with creatives in any way, shape, or form that aren't weird and quirky?
No. I know what you mean, but yeah, I think you understand what I'm saying.
I do. The Northwest has been my home now for 15 or 16 years. And in terms of the talent and the grind and the work ethic, especially when it comes to the agency space, I've been nothing but just floored and flabbergasted by the kind of things that I've been able to be a part of. Some of that has a lot to do with just like the overall approach to the enterprise here in the Northwest, right? Like we have some of the biggest brands in the world. Some of it has been tech, and most of it's been tech, but a lot of those clients have very high expectations. And a lot of those clients work in a very ambiguous manner. And in order to be really successful here, you have to, navigate ambiguity. And I put that in quotes because that's such a tech hiring approach in terms of hiring an agency or even just hiring talent, is being able to navigate that ambiguity. And a lot of it comes from that grind. And a lot of it comes from, I think, the most inspirational components of our city, whether it be the mountains and nature, or just the amazing approach to some of the businesses that have grown here. And so, I'm just always floored with what we've been able to access here in the Northwest. In terms of working with us, from a talent standpoint, and we really like to call them flex resources, we do bring people in and make them feel like, whether or not they're FTE, that they're part of us and
Right.
they're part of our group. And we find their strengths, right? Like because I have such a growth mindset, and because I've been doing business development for as long as I have, I'm not looking for growth for the sake of growth, right?
Right.
I'm looking for things that really, really hit the component of creating great work. And our growth model is great work begets great work.
Sure.
And so I'm not going to take on a project that's not something that we have the ability to execute at the highest level. And so we're always putting our talent in a position where they're going to be set up for success. Their voice is heard. And they really feel like they're a part of the team, whether it's a small project or they're part of our full-on retainer team.
Yep. The other thing too is your proud Indian heritage. you and Jay Kamat down at Haymaker. Yeah.
We're part of the Indian mafia, you know what I mean?
But I'm interested in your heritage and how that informs the way you think.
I'm first generation American, right? And my dad has always kind of driven in me that like entrepreneurial spirit. He came to this country, got his master's degree, found his work, and basically became the godfather of our family. And I say that in that like most of the connections to our family have come here through here. My aunts, uncles, and now we've got cousins, and now we've got kids, and so that direct connection has kind of led and inspired me to kind of drive towards being this entrepreneur. But that heritage hasn't always been. I'm not trying to martyrize myself, but hasn't always been the most accepted in the agency space. And I think one of those things of like being accepted in this space and doing what it is that we're doing is allowed us to really push towards being that inclusive agency that listens to those voices and brings in those different perspectives. That was kind of like the origins of the name when we went with Noir, and that like in the art space, black is a collection of all different colors versus science where it's the absence of. And so, when you have those people from all those different backgrounds coming in, we can create something big and beautiful and amazing. And I'm still working on that elevator pitch, Doug.
That's okay. Last question, and this is a thought experiment. Whether they're a client or not, who's a CMO or marketer you want to say hello to?
Oh man, I saw that question come in.
Just give me a couple. Don't give me 80.
Yeah, I'm not. It's like growth for the sake of growth, right? Like,
right.
I don't want to name names, but I do want to say that like what we've been able to participate in our very short period of time has been growth in community and building community and sustainability. And so, when we're thinking about the direction in space that we want to continue to grow in, we're centered around things like revitalizing downtown areas in Seattle and beyond, finding ways for talent to feel very connected to the approach here in Seattle, or some of the just overall like back to work components. And we want to work with people who think about those things from that standpoint. That, or, I'd love to actually appropriately market a real hockey team, but that's
oh, that's some cold shit, right?
That is some cold shit, but I'd love to be treated, see how the fans could really be treated.
Listen, that's not a marketing issue with the Kraken. Because
it's not.
Because Allie Daniels is wonderful.
Yes,
and she's the new CMO there. This has something to do with the front office, and I'm going to hold my tongue because when the front office was being built, I had a discussion with somebody about this, and they said, "Watch out." So you're right. Allie Daniels is a genius. She was at Visit Seattle forever. She's an absolute genius. The Kraken is a great thing for Seattle, but we do want to win.
Yeah. My 15, 16 years in this town has led me to understand that if you don't win here, you're not that relevant. And I know that we talk about the fair weatherness, but that happens in every city.
It happens in every city.
I think when you're building a franchise from scratch and you're charging people $19 for a beer, you really, really have to put a good product on the ice.
Yep. And that is not a marketing problem.
No, it's not. It's not
at all. Nope. All right. And on that positive note, Arun, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to watch you get this thing kicking, and it's hard to believe it's a year and a half later, but thanks for joining us. Thank you for the support. Again, thank you for creating the identity of Indie Agency News, and we wish you the best moving forward.
Thanks, Doug. And, just a side note, I appreciate all you do for all of us, and specifically us. I think some of our early conversations were very inspiring and put me on the track I think we're on. So I appreciate everything you do for us and what you do for all of us indie agencies out there.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.